Maya Sinclair walked through the sunlit halls of their spacious home, her hand resting gently on her rounded belly. The gentle flutter of life within her brought a warmth that no luxury or wealth could match. She smiled softly, imagining the little life growing inside her, and thought about the day she would finally hold her baby in her arms. Lucas Bennett, her husband, had always been her pillar of strength, charming, protective, and endlessly ambitious. To the outside world, they were the perfect couple, young, successful, and deeply in love. Friends often commented on their enviable life, the laughter that seemed to echo through their home, and the way Lucas looked at her as though she were the only woman in the world. But lately, subtle cracks had begun to appear. Lucas's late nights were becoming more frequent, and he seemed preoccupied even during the few meals they shared together. His phone had become a constant companion, ringing or vibrating at odd hours, and he would quickly step away or offer vague explanations about urgent business matters. Maya noticed the faint traces of cologne that weren't hers, the distracted tone in his voice when she spoke, and the way he sometimes avoided her gaze. Despite these signs, Maya dismissed her unease, convincing herself that Lucas's preoccupation was merely the weight of running a massive empire. She told herself that love could withstand stress and distance, that their bond was strong enough to weather any challenge. Yet, beneath her optimism, a quiet worry began to stir, a tiny seed of doubt she could not quite shake, whispering that something precious in their perfect life was starting to slip away. Maya began to notice the subtle shifts in Lucas's behavior, the ones that pricked at her intuition like tiny, persistent needles. At dinner, he would nod absently, his eyes scanning his phone instead of meeting hers. Conversations that once flowed effortlessly now felt stilted, interrupted by his sudden focus on emails or reports. Even when he was physically present, his mind seemed elsewhere, lost in a world she couldn't reach. She would mention plans for the baby, ask about nursery ideas, or share a story from her day, only to be met with distracted murmurs or a polite smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Lucas had always been private, but now it felt different, defensive, almost guarded. He grew unusually protective of his phone and laptop, quickly shutting screens or moving them out of her sight whenever she entered the room. Maya tried to rationalize it, telling herself that running a multinational empire demanded focus and secrecy. Perhaps he was under pressure, juggling contracts, negotiations, and endless meetings. She clung to that explanation, desperately wanting to preserve the image of the loving, devoted husband she knew. Yet the evidence around her began to pile up in ways that were impossible to ignore. One morning, she noticed a faint, floral perfume on his collar, one that didn't belong to her. Calls he had been taking in hushed tones ended abruptly whenever she walked into the room, leaving only awkward silence and hurried excuses. Her heart sank every time she caught him checking his messages with a guilty glance, and she found herself questioning whether her trust was misplaced. The unease grew heavier, a silent weight pressing against her chest, whispering warnings that her happiness might be more fragile than she had ever imagined. Slowly, Maya realized that the life she thought she knew was shifting under her feet, one small betrayal at a time. Maya clutched the small envelope tightly in her hand as she walked toward her car, her excitement bubbling like sunlight through morning mist. Inside were the latest ultrasound images of their baby, carefully tucked alongside a handwritten letter expressing all the love and hope she carried for Lucas and their unborn child. She had also packed a few of Lucas's favorite snacks, small gestures she knew would make him smile despite his long, stressful days. Today she decided she would surprise him at his office. She imagined the joy on his face, the warmth in his eyes, the laughter they would share as he cradled her growing belly and whispered promises of love and protection. The drive to his skyscraper was a blur of anticipation. Every red light felt like a pause in her heart, every passing car a countdown to the moment she would finally see him. She pictured stepping into the sleek, glass-walled office tower and catching him mid-meeting, the surprise on his face softening into a smile that would melt all worries away. Her imagination painted a perfect scene, Lucas pulling her into a gentle hug, brushing a strand of hair from her forehead, and whispering how proud he was, not just of the baby but of her. As she parked and stepped out of her car, Her heart raced with the kind of excitement only love could produce. She clutched the envelope and small bag of snacks closer, a warmth spreading through her chest, unknowing of the storm that awaited inside. The lobby shimmered with polished marble and sunlight, the elevator doors gleaming like a portal to a future she believed was safe and secure. Maya took a deep breath, smiled to herself, and pressed the button for Lucas's floor, completely unaware that the moment she anticipated so eagerly would soon shatter everything she thought she knew about her husband, her marriage, and the life she imagined for her family. Maya's hand hovered over the door handle, her excitement still bubbling when she pushed it open and froze. The scene before her was a living nightmare, a betrayal so vivid that it made her heart seize. Lucas stood near his desk, lips locked passionately with Isabella Royce. His boss, sleek, ambitious, and dangerously alluring. The dim light of the office cast long shadows, accentuating the intimacy of their embrace. Papers lay scattered across the polished floor, half-finished reports and client contracts abandoned in the chaos of their stolen moment. A crystal glass with half-empty champagne trembled on the edge of the desk, unnoticed, as if even the inanimate objects bore witness to the treachery. Maya's breath caught in her throat. Her hand, still clutching the envelope and gifts, trembled uncontrollably. Her mind couldn't process the sight. Lucas, the man she loved and trusted, betraying her in the most intimate way, and Isabella, brazen and unashamed, answering that betrayal with equal intensity. The sound of her heels clicking against the marble floor seemed deafening, a harsh intrusion into a private moment that no one should ever have witnessed. Lucas's head snapped up, eyes wide in shock, the guilt impossible to hide. Isabella staggered back, her face momentarily flashing with panic before she tried to mask it with composure. But it was too late. Maya's gaze, filled with disbelief, hurt, and heartbreak, burned into Lucas with a force he had never felt before. Every lie, every late night, every suspicious glance crystallized into the unbearable truth she now faced. The perfect life she imagined, the home, the love, the security, all shattered in an instant. Her chest tightened, tears stinging her eyes, as the world she had trusted so completely crumbled around her, leaving nothing but betrayal in its wake. Maya's chest heaved as she stepped fully into the office, her hand trembling as she clutched the envelope and gifts. "How could you?" she demanded, her voice breaking yet sharp, cutting through the stunned silence. Rage, disbelief, and heartache laced every word. Lucas froze, his eyes wide with panic, as though seeing her in that moment had thrown him into a panic he had never anticipated. He opened his mouth stammering, "Maya, it's not, it was just a momentary lapse, a misunderstanding." The words only fueled her fury. "A lapse. A misunderstanding," she spat, her voice rising with every syllable. "Do you realize what you've done? Do you realize what you've risked? Our marriage, our baby, our life." Tears streamed down her cheeks, mixing with the anger that burned like fire in her chest. Lucas shifted uncomfortably, trying to reach for her hand, but she recoiled instinctively, her body trembling with a mix of fear and indignation. Isabella attempted to excuse herself, smoothing her skirt and muttering, "I leave. This isn't my fight." But Maya's gaze pinned her in place. "No, you're a part of this. Don't think you can escape responsibility." Every word she spoke carried the weight of betrayal, every accusation a mirror reflecting the truth Lucas had tried to hide. Lucas faltered under her relentless questioning, his carefully constructed excuses crumbling piece by piece. His attempts at justification rang hollow, each word exposing his lies and selfishness. Maya's tears blurred her vision, but her voice remained steady, unwavering. She demanded honesty, demanded accountability, demanding that Lucas finally face the consequences of the life he had shattered with his betrayal. Maya's heels clicked sharply against the marble floor as she stormed out of the office, each step fueled by a mixture of rage and heartbreak. Her hands shook violently, clutching the envelope of ultrasound images like a lifeline to a world that had just crumbled around her. The bustling city outside blurred past her vision as she walked to her car, unable to process the scene she had just witnessed. Lucas, the man she had trusted with her heart and the life growing inside her, had betrayed her in the most intimate, unimaginable way. Once inside her car, she pulled out her phone and dialed her best friend, her voice trembling as tears cascaded down her cheeks. "I can't. I saw him, kissing her," she choked out between sobs, struggling to catch her breath. Her friend's calming voice attempted to soothe her, but nothing could immediately erase the pain, disbelief, and anger that surged through her. Her pregnancy amplified every emotion, each gasp and sob sending sharp pangs through her belly. The reality of the betrayal felt like a physical blow, leaving her weak, dizzy, and shaking uncontrollably. Meanwhile, Lucas's frantic calls and texts lit up her phone continuously, each one a desperate plea she refused to answer. "Maya, please. I can explain," his messages read. But she wouldn't respond. His voice, once comforting, now felt like venom, and every ring of her phone only reminded her of the trust he had shattered. Alone in the quiet of her car, Maya's mind raced. Questions collided in her head. Was their marriage ever real? Could she ever trust him again? What did this mean for her child, her life, and her future? The weight of betrayal pressed down relentlessly, and she realized, with bitter clarity, that nothing in her life would ever feel the same again. The following day, while Maya tried to steady her trembling hands and quiet the storm in her mind, news of her betrayal reached unexpected ears. Adrian Blackwood, Lucas's longtime business rival, and a man known as much for his sharp intellect as for his unwavering integrity, happened to be in the city. A mutual acquaintance, sympathetic to Maya's plight, discreetly informed him of the incident. Adrian had always been respected in the corporate world for his fairness and discretion, but he had also earned a reputation for quietly protecting those in need when others would have turned away. Curiosity and concern drew him to reach out to Maya. He called her directly, his voice calm, measured, and devoid of the arrogance she had come to associate with powerful men. "I heard about what happened," he said gently. "I don't know if you want to talk, but I want you to know you're not alone." Maya hesitated, her instincts warning her to be cautious, to protect herself. Yet something in his tone, steady, sincere, unpressured, made her heart soften slightly. When they met in a quiet, sunlit cafe, Adrian offered no judgments or pity. He listened attentively as Maya recounted her experience, her betrayal, and her fears for the future. He didn't interrupt, didn't offer empty reassurances. He simply provided a presence that felt safe, a space where she could be vulnerable without feeling exploited. Over the following weeks, Adrian's support continued, practical and thoughtful, always respecting her independence. He helped her navigate the immediate challenges without overshadowing her own choices. Maya began to see, in contrast to Lucas's selfishness, a man who valued integrity, compassion, and respect. For the first time since the betrayal, she felt a sense of security, not just for herself, but for the life growing inside her, and she realized that true support could be offered without strings, without expectation, and without judgment. Maya woke each day with a renewed sense of purpose, determined to reclaim the life that Lucas's betrayal had tried to shatter. Her focus shifted toward her health and the baby growing inside her, knowing that every step she took now was not just for herself but for the new life she carried. Morning walks, gentle stretches, and careful nutrition became part of her routine, grounding her in a sense of control she had long feared lost. Every small action, from sipping herbal tea to reading prenatal guides, was a quiet assertion of her strength and resilience. Adrian remained a steady presence, never intrusive, never demanding, but always offering support when she needed it. He encouraged her to attend prenatal classes, accompanying her when she wanted company but leaving her to participate independently whenever she preferred. He celebrated her achievements, no matter how small, and helped her navigate the emotional turbulence of betrayal with patience and understanding. His confidence in her, and the respect he showed for her autonomy, gave her courage she hadn't realized she had. Slowly, Maya reconnected with friends she had neglected, sharing laughter and tears, rebuilding bonds that reminded her she was not alone. She began to assert herself in small but meaningful ways, taking charge of her finances, making decisions about the nursery, and standing firm in interactions with Lucas when he attempted to manipulate or apologize. His repeated messages, gifts, and promises only highlighted the depth of his betrayal, and Maya found her resolve growing stronger with each refusal. Through these months, she discovered an inner strength she hadn't known existed, a quiet power rooted in self-respect and love for her unborn child. Each day brought her closer to the woman she had always wanted to be, resilient, confident, and unafraid to claim the life she deserved. The story of Lucas and Isabella's affair spread like wildfire, reaching every corner of the city within hours. A tabloid reporter, tipped off by a source close to the office, published photographs and details that left little to the imagination. Images of Lucas and Isabella together, moments of intimacy captured during work hours, and snippets of overheard conversations that confirmed the betrayal. The headline screamed scandal. Billionaire caught cheating. Pregnant wife shocked by affair. Within the day, news feeds, social media platforms, and gossip columns were flooded with the story, amplifying the humiliation and cementing Lucas's public downfall. Business partners and investors who had once praised his acumen began reconsidering their associations. Stock prices wavered, contracts were questioned, and meetings were cancelled under the shadow of mistrust. Lucas, who had always thrived on control and influence, now found himself isolated, a man whose private mistakes were exposed to public scrutiny, threatening the empire he had built. Meanwhile, Maya emerged as the picture of composure. She attended public events, prenatal classes, and charity gatherings with dignity and poise, her growing belly a visible testament to the life she was nurturing despite betrayal. Adrian remained discreetly by her side, offering quiet support without overshadowing her presence, allowing her to reclaim her image and narrative. Social media users hailed her courage, praising her resilience and strength in facing such humiliation while pregnant. She became an emblem of independence, a woman who refused to let heartbreak define her. Lucas, watching from a distance, felt the full weight of his actions. The consequences of his betrayal were not only personal but professional. The empire he had relied on for prestige and power now wavered under scrutiny. For the first time, he understood that deceit and selfishness could destroy both love and legacy, leaving him with nothing but regret. Months passed in a quiet rhythm, filled with preparation, anticipation, and healing. When the day finally arrived, Maya held her breath as she welcomed her daughter, Sophia, into the world. The tiny life she cradled in her arms seemed to radiate hope and promise, a living reminder of her strength and resilience. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she whispered her love to the newborn, feeling a depth of emotion that no betrayal could ever diminish. Adrian remained a steady presence, helping Maya navigate the early days of motherhood with patience and care. He wasn't there to replace Lucas, nor did he seek to overshadow the bond between mother and child. Instead, he offered guidance, comfort, and unwavering support, allowing Maya to reclaim her confidence while respecting her independence. His quiet dedication reminded her that trust and loyalty still existed, even after the wounds she had endured. As the weeks turned into months, Maya's life began to blossom in ways she had never imagined. She embraced her role as a mother with pride, rediscovered her passions, and strengthened her sense of self-worth. Each smile from Sophia, each small milestone, reinforced her determination to live fully and fearlessly. Lucas, once the center of her world, faded into memory, a cautionary figure whose selfishness had cost him everything. Maya, meanwhile, stepped into a life defined by love, stability, and hope. She had endured heartbreak, betrayal, and public humiliation, yet she emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to embrace the happiness she had always deserved. In her arms, Sophia represented not just a child, but a new beginning, a life reclaimed from the shadows of the past. Maya's life had transformed in ways she had never imagined. She thrived personally, embracing motherhood with confidence and joy, and professionally, finding purpose beyond the pain she had endured. With Adrian's steady guidance and encouragement, she founded a charitable organization dedicated to supporting pregnant women who had faced betrayal, abandonment, or hardship. The foundation offered counseling, financial assistance, and mentorship, giving women the tools to reclaim their independence and dignity. Every success story became a testament to Maya's resilience, a reflection of the strength she had discovered within herself. Her own journey became a source of inspiration for countless others. Media outlets, social platforms, and community groups highlighted her courage and determination, portraying her as a woman who refused to be defined by heartbreak or humiliation. Her story resonated with anyone who had suffered loss or betrayal, reminding them that recovery, empowerment, and love were possible even after the darkest moments. Lucas, once the center of her world, had become a distant memory, a cautionary tale of selfishness and regret. His mistakes were stark reminders of what Maya had endured, but they no longer held power over her. Her focus was now on Sophia, on nurturing a life filled with love, safety, and hope, and on the blossoming bond she shared with Adrian, built on respect, care, and mutual trust. From the ruins of betrayal, Maya had constructed a life of strength, dignity, and purpose. She had risen above heartbreak, transforming pain into empowerment, and in doing so, became a symbol of courage. A woman who not only survived but thrived, leaving behind a legacy of hope for herself, her daughter, and countless women who would follow in her footsteps.